For 3 millennia, the Vortak Empire had carved a bloody path across the galaxy. Their warriors stood 9 feet tall, with chitinous armor that could deflect plasma rounds and claws capable of shredding titanium. Entire civilizations had surrendered at the mere sight of their black war vessels emerging from hyperspace. The Andromedans, with their advanced technology, had lasted 6 months. The crystalline beings of Kepler 442b, despite their psychic abilities, fell in 3 weeks. Even the machine intelligence of the Nexus Prime had calculated surrender as the optimal outcome rather than face the Vortak in open warfare. General Kethvar, Supreme Commander of the Vortak 4th Fleet, reviewed the tactical display with satisfaction. Before him hung a blue-green world, third from its yellow star, a planet the inhabitants called Earth. Intelligence suggested the dominant species possessed primitive technology, barely capable of interplanetary travel. Their weapons were chemical-based projectiles and crude explosives. It would be another easy conquest. "Begin the subjugation protocol," Kethvar commanded, his voice a grinding rasp that had struck fear into countless worlds. The first wave of Vortak dropships descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. They targeted major population centers: New York, London, Tokyo, Moscow. The alien warriors expected to find cowering civilians and perhaps token resistance from whatever pathetic military forces these humans could muster. Instead, they found something unprecedented. Captain Maria Rodriguez crouched behind the ruins of what had once been Central Park's carousel. Her squad of Marines spread out in practiced formation. Through her scope, she watched the alien giants emerge from their landing craft, their movements confident and unhurried. They had clearly done this countless times before. "Target acquired," she whispered into her comm. "All units, remember? Aim for the joints where the armor segments meet." Rodriguez out. The Vortak advanced with their typical arrogance, expecting the usual pattern of terror and flight. What they encountered instead was coordinated resistance unlike anything in their military history. Humans didn't break. They didn't flee. They adapted. When conventional weapons proved insufficient, a mechanic named Jake Thompson in Detroit figured out how to modify car batteries into improvised EMP devices. A chemistry professor in Berlin taught neighborhood watch groups to synthesize compounds that corroded Vortak armor. Children as young as 12 became experts, but it wasn't just the tactical innovation that unnerved the Vortak. It was the humans' complete refusal to acknowledge defeat. In Mumbai, when the Vortak cornered the last defenders in a collapsed subway tunnel, they expected surrender. Instead, the humans detonated their own position, taking half a Vortak battalion with them while shouting, "Remember the Alamo." The aliens had no context for the reference, but the message was clear. Week after week, the losses mounted. The Vortak, accustomed to terrorizing populations into submission, found themselves facing an enemy that grew more dangerous with each passing day. Human resistance cells shared information across their primitive internet, turning every smartphone into an intelligence network. They used their own urban environments against the invaders, turning familiar streets into deadly mazes. General Kethvar stared at the casualty reports in disbelief. 60% losses. 60%. Against a species that hadn't even achieved faster-than-light travel. His subordinates whispered of a new phenomenon they had never encountered before: human ingenuity born of desperation. The final blow came when humans reverse-engineered captured Vortak weapons in a matter of weeks, something that had taken other civilizations decades, if they managed it at all. A former NASA engineer named David Park led a team that not only figured out the alien technology but improved upon it, creating hybrid weapons that combined human adaptability with Vortak firepower. 3 months after the invasion began, General Kethvar found himself signing the most humiliating document in Vortak history: an unconditional withdrawal. As his battered fleet limped away from Earth's solar system, he transmitted a galaxy-wide warning that would reshape interstellar politics forever. Recommendation to all Vortak forces and allied species. The system designated Sol 3 is to be marked as forbidden territory. The species known as humans has demonstrated combat characteristics incompatible with standard subjugation protocols. They do not surrender. They do not break. They learn. Avoid at all costs. For the first time in 3,000 years, the most feared warriors in the galaxy had retreated in defeat, leaving behind a small blue world whose inhabitants had just announced themselves to the cosmos in the most unmistakable way possible. The age of human expansion had begun.